Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Playing in Traffic. We do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and we talk about anything you can put gas in. Cars, boats, trucks, mini bikes, go-karts, don't matter. We'll talk about it. What's up, Ray?
Lewis, good to see you again this week. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. It goes quick. Thursday comes fast.
It's sure this week, especially with Memorial Day. I was, man, I was thinking Sunday was Saturday, Monday was Sunday. I didn't know what day was what. I was, and I turn around and like, okay, it's Thursday again. I know what day that is.
Yeah. I mean, it flies for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to tell everybody in the chat and on YouTube and Facebook that check out PowerTube TV. They are growing very fast and a lot of good content on there. So go check them out. PowerTube TV. You can download the app or you can go to YouTube. Check them out. Our channel's on there, and support the automotive industry.
Yeah, there is a lot of content. I was just looking again. I was just looking now for some information on electric cooling fans. And as soon as I cracked the ice with one, I mean, just the videos flooded in. It was almost anything you want to find. I think you're going to find a wide range of videos, and a lot of them now. It used to be that there was a lot of crap up there. Now there's a lot of really good stuff. A lot of shops and guys are sharing the right information, which is key.
Yep, sure is. Yeah. So we are in where are we? Where did I say was that?
Missouri.
Missouri. Yeah. So we're bouncing around. We stopped to see Dwayne Maddox. We stayed there a couple of days, hung out with him.
Nice.
And he does forging, metal forging. So he taught me how to make a knife.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he has a nice setup, man. It's nice setup. That's all I'm saying. He knows what he's doing. Matter of fact, let me show you the knife that I made. Well, I actually made it for the wife.
Okay.
This is out of off of railroad tie.
Out of a what? I'm sorry.
Railroad tie.
A railroad tie. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Wow. So, twisted. And how do you get those? How'd you do those square segments?
So what you do is you take a grinder and you cut in squares. On the side.
Right.
Like not on the flat part, but on the edge.
Yeah.
And then after you forge the knife out, then you twist it.
Right.
It's pretty slick, man.
Yeah.
And it's really sharp too.
I remember watching Indian Larry. He was a motorcycle builder, and what he did was he made a twisted frame.
Yep.
And yeah, he just like chucked it in this vise that was like the vise from hell. And I think he used a pipe wrench, like a 4-foot pipe wrench, and just muscled it. It was red hot steel. And man, that looked cool.
Yeah, the forging is pretty slick, man. So we put it in the fire. I don't know what do you even call it? Kiln, I guess.
Well, it is a fire. Yeah, I guess a kiln would be right. Yeah, it's
yeah. So it heats it up real bright red, orange, and then he showed me how to hit it with the hammer, man. But I did a terrible job. He had to straighten it out for me. But
really,
oh man, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
It takes some hand and eye coordination. You think, oh, I can do it. I can hit a nail.
Yeah.
I mean, you really gotta practice. Yep.
I had watched that show Forged in Fire for a couple seasons. They actually did an episode here at the junkyard by my house where we had our 10th year anniversary party.
Oh, nice.
And he hosted them and set them up in the in the yard in one of his buildings, and so that got me interested. And that's where I learned about Damascus blades, where they literally fold over that metal. They keep folding it and folding it.
Yeah.
The more they fold it, the better. The more like layers they get in beautiful stuff. But
yeah,
and that show was cool because they'd have like they at the beginning they have to run to a table and grab stuff. It could be a leaf spring or
Mm-hmm.
a piece of a frame. I mean, they had all sorts of just crazy steel over there, and yeah, it was kind of cool. And then it was even better is at the end they'd always show the guys when at the final competition they were at their home shops at their
Mm-hmm.
home forge, and you see how some guys are set up in a rinky-dink little garage with a dirt floor, and other guys have full-blown shops.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
get
we loved that show. Me and my wife watched the whole series. Yeah.
right, you get to see a little bit of everything. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's a different medium, and I never got to play around with that stuff, but it's pretty cool.
And then if I remember right, some of the heat sources, some guys used coal, some
Mm-hmm.
guys used, I guess, propane.
Yeah, he
Uh,
used propane.
there was wood, and everybody had their favorite. I guess it depends what equipment they had, where it came from.
Right.
And some guys would use a power hammer, other guys just with a big old sledge. So it was cool to see all the different the mythologies that people used, and yeah, very cool. And some of the young guys actually, there were a lot of young guys that won that competition.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was
And
pretty cool because
yeah, it's pretty cool how you can heat that metal up and manipulate it. It's pretty slick.
I always thought that Brian could be a blacksmith. He looks like a Smitty.
Yeah.
Big pair of boots on him, big fucking leather apron, and hand him a
There you
hammer.
go.
Away he goes.
Yeah, so we made the knife, and I made a cross for the wife.
Okay.
My wife loves knives, so that's her knife.
Okay.
I ain't allowed to play with it.
All right.
So I'll make a nice leather sheath for it when we get home.
Now, how heavy is that? Is that blade?
I would say it's maybe a pound,
Okay, that's significant to carry.
maybe a little less than a pound.
I mean, she's got to carry out on the other side from her real protection, right?
Yeah.
So
Now she collects knives. She has a whole bunch of them. She'll just put them up on the shelf with the rest of them.
nice.
But yeah, this is a
Nice job.
railroad tie.
So, what was the method for sharpening it?
He has first we ground the edge down, and then he has a belt sander.
Right.
A small one, just like they used on Forge and Fire, but it's smaller.
That little 1-inch wide belt like that.
Yeah. Yep.
I tell you something. I was at a gun show last year, and there was a guy set up in the corner, and he had knives. I'm gonna go take a look because I like knives too. And he was sharpening knives. He'd sharpen your knife for $5.
Mm-hmm.
So I took out my pocket knife. It's a folding knife. I said, it was pretty sharp. I said, all right, I'll bite for $5. And he says, I'm going to sharpen this knife like you've never had a knife sharpened. You're not going to believe it. I was like, all right, and he said, most people, he goes, do you sharpen your knives? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he asked, what do you use? And I said, yeah, I've used whetstones and strops and, other things. He goes, no. He goes, the right way to do it, he sanded. And I'll tell you, when he was done, he was slicing paper like it was just, and this paper was shredded. I was like, dude, that is sick. That knife was sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Yeah, it's pretty neat how it works, man. I got to quench it. I got some videos. I got to put them together.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I got to quench it in the oil.
Right.
And he had me scared. He was like, "Oh yeah, the flame's gonna come up," and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna burn my face off."
Sure.
But it was pretty cool.
So that's annealing it, correct? When you quench it in oil, I believe.
Yeah.
That anneals it. Yeah. It doesn't surface harden it. And then what I was gonna say, yeah, that's an eye opener too when you get all the smoke and everything. But yeah, it's quite a hell of a process. It's really cool. So now you did all the AC videos. Now you're gonna have like the Forged in Fire videos. Maybe do some water.
Yeah. It's I'm having a good time out here on the road, man. It's I'm trying to stay within like the 3-4 hour a day drive.
Okay.
So because I noticed I like to drive, so I could drive 8 hours, but I started thinking, I was like, we're missing a lot of stuff driving 8 hours. I mean, we're going through towns, blowing through states. So I was like, maybe we should do 3 or 4 hours every day. Start out in the morning, and then wherever we end up, see what's there.
Yeah, I guess it depends if you have a destination. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you got to go 5, you go 5. If it's something closer, yeah, then make the stop. I guess you got to determine that by where you are.
Yeah.
So,
And I figured we're in no rush. We're not,
right,
we don't have any shows that we're going to right now. So
right, right,
we're gonna, and we have this app that you can see what's in that area. It shows like all the memorials and museums and anything that's around that town. It shows
right,
it. It's pretty slick. So we're just gonna do our 3-4 hour drives and see what's there.
right. Good.
So we're here at some friend's house. We met some friends down at the schoolie event down in Florida.
Right. Okay.
So they have a schoolie as well. We're parked next to them now at their house, and they took us on a tour of the area. And it's a big mining area where they mined lead, copper, and what's the other one? Copper, silver.
Silver. Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so they mined it all here, and at one time, I guess it was the #1 mining area in the country.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
They took us around, showed us all the different mining stuff, and see, that's a lot of stuff that you miss by driving by it on the freeway.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have
Yes.
never thought that stuff was here, and me and my wife love history and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
we like to stop and see that stuff all over the country. That's our plan, is to really see the country.
Well, you're doing good so far.
Yep, I can't wait to get out west because I'm a cowboy fan. I want to see the cowboy towns. I want to see Tombstone and all the
Well,
good stuff.
go to Texas. You'll get some cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
really going to hit west in the spring because I got a couple things to do over here still on the East Coast. But in the
Right. Right.
spring we'll head out to SEMA, and that's when we'll hit the west stuff.
Okay. Very good.
Yep. So let's pull the fellas in and see what they're talking about.
Sure.
Hey. Where's Brian at? There he is.
Hey guys.
Hey
guys,
guys,
how's it going?
man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
What, Lewis? What town is? Where's your son at?
He's going to wait a minute. He's going on a business trip down there, so he wants us to meet us there so we can babysit. And that's how it works, right?
I mean, I'm just wondering where at. I mean, is he going to on the 35 side or the 75 side up north of Dallas?
North of Dallas.
Well, I mean, Sherman or Durant or McKinney or Plano or.
Oh no, he sent me the address. Hold on 1 second.
All those places sound familiar.
Well, yeah, that's all north of just when you head north out of Dallas. I used to deliver to Plano a lot when I was running cars. The Volvo and Saabs, I used to take a lot of them up there.
Yeah, unfortunately, McKinney has no relation to me.
Yeah.
It's spelled the right way, which is kind of odd because usually it has an I instead of an E, and I'm an E, and there's no relation.
I think I sent you a picture a couple of years ago. I saw a McKinney in Virginia also.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, hey, look at that. You put furniture in that shed yet, Brian?
Man, don't even start.
While it's wide open.
No, we're still alive. I don't want to repeat anything.
How big is that shed? What's the size?
20 by 20.
Okay, very nice. I know she had to do an irregular size foundation.
Yeah, it was to level the ground out and to have it.
Right.
We actually, in doing so, because the back, the what's left back up there is a little higher because of water runoff.
Right.
And
right.
they want it. So we did it. The one I had before was down in the ground, or down, and I didn't have a lot of water issues, but God love Maryland and codes.
Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah.
Grapevine, Texas.
Grapevine.
Grapevine.
Yep, I was mistaken when I said Durant. That's actually Oklahoma.
is
That's that part where it dips down and does
In the
all that.
Texas area. Yeah.
Because when I was running the expedited truck, I took a bunch of I always want to call them one-armed bandits, the slot machines.
Slot machines.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a place in we would load out of Austin. We'd pick them up in Austin, and actually that was the first time I had when I delivered up there. There's another place that we would take the old machines. Sometimes, again, the truck I had wasn't that big, so I couldn't deliver more than about 20. So, but they would take the old machines, and then they would basically part them out for the changers and the computers, because there's a lot of technology in those things nowadays. And there's a couple of shops of breakers, I guess they'd call them, where they would take and go, okay, well, this is a good screen and this is a good cabinet, and and then they would just sell out the pieces and parts. And because the strange thing with that, or not strange, but because they're dealing with money and the federal government's involved, everything has a serial number on it. And I mean, everything has a serial number on it. The cabinet, the shelves, every piece and part in there has got a serial number on it. And when we would deliver them, we'd deliver the machines, somebody from the I can't remember what they called it, the tax. Oh, they're the ones that actually had to cut or break the seal. We'd be there, and then they would go, okay, go ahead and cut the seal or break it, and then you'd cut the seal or whatever, and hand them the paperwork, and they'd verify all the everything. And then, I mean, it was interesting to, because like I said, I had never done any of that before, but again, when you're hauling stuff, it's like, hey, what does it pay and where's it going? When's it got to be there? And that stuff, that stuff paid pretty well. So we, that's how I kind of got into doing the slot machines and all that. But it was interesting. I wouldn't mind doing it again, but you got to overnight at the casinos.
Yeah.
I'd always run in there, get there the night before and run in and go have dinner there and just walk the floor and just see everything and maybe play a little blackjack or something. I was never one for the slot machines, but I wouldn't mind playing blackjack every now and then.
And watching people lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never not a very good gambler. I just might as well go in there and throw the money and walk back out because it's that fast. I got two quick stories about gambling. One was on our honeymoon. We were on a cruise ship, and we had gone down one night to the casino, and I'm playing the nickel machines with the old blue hairs in the corner, and Jenny's over there, man. She's got the dollar machine, and she's just cranking, and money's falling, and I got to come over and steal a dollar or two and break them down to nickels so that I could play long enough, And so one night we're on the cruise, and I said, let's go down to the casino. And, Jenny's like, no, I don't want to go. And I said, well, I want to go. And she said, okay. And, typical, hands me a roll of quarters and said, this is all you're spending, because she knows how fast I'm going to go. So I go down in the casino in my suave James Bond walk around, and think like this is the machine that's going to hit. Well, it took everything in a matter of 30 seconds. And I'm like, man, I'm not going back to the room. So what's the other thing you do on the cruise ship? You hit all the buffets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I walk out, and this is like, 9:00 at night, and they have these buffets, and I hit every buffet. I'm at the taco bar, I'm at the hamburger bar, I'm at the soft ice cream bar. I mean, I'm eating everything. I go all the way around. I come back to the room. It's like, an hour or so had gone by, hour and a half. And she goes, where the hell have you been? And I said, I've been gambling. She said, your shirt doesn't say that. Because I had the mess on the shirt. So that was that one. So that gambling. And then one time for Mako, we had gone to Vegas and we were staying at Caesars. And I stayed on East Coast time. And so at 3 a.m, I'm walking around in the casino and I see all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And there's a couple other stories with that. But the one that I really want to say was, so we're getting ready to leave and we had to be out of the room, but the shuttle didn't come until 2, but we had to be out at noon. So we're sitting down in the casino and, we start playing the One-Armed Bandits. And we're going along and I hit for like $900. And I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. And there's this little old lady, with the Pall Mall about that long, never flicked the ashes. She's saying, keep playing, Blue Eyes, keep playing. And she's yelling and screaming. And I'm like, I'm cashing out. And she's no, you broke it, man. You broke it. I think I had sex with her. I don't know. I'm like, no, I'm cashing out. And of course, this is when they didn't drop money. It just made the noise and it gave you a ticket. So I hit the button, I cash out, the little light comes on, and I go to stand up, and she slides right under me. I hadn't even gotten out of the way. I mean, this is why I think I had sex. She wanted that chair,
She wants the hot machine,
Yeah. And so the floor guy, the pit boss or the floor guy, he comes over, and he's like, hey, where are you going? And I said, I'm cashing out, baby. I'm done. I'm going to be the only joker on the airplane with money going back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I go down. He walks down, and we cash out. And I'm standing there, and the guy comes back by and goes, what are you doing? So I'm standing here. He goes, if you ain't playing, get the hell out of here. And I'm like, man, my wife is playing right there. Yeah, he said, you ain't playing, get the hell out of here. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I go out and, they had the Jersey walls up on Main Street, and I'm sitting right outside Caesars. And, like, of course, I'm sitting there like, I lost my best friend. And, everybody's walking by like, Brian, what happened, man? Are you need a buck or two? Or, and I'm like, no, they won't. So, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes go by. One of the ladies come out offering me a drink, to come back in to gamble, and I said, there ain't no way I'm coming back in there. So, but that was my excitement in Vegas. Still lost about another $200 at the airport.
Wow.
You're giving it back.
Yeah, giving it back. They don't want you to, he didn't want me to leave with that money, for what it was.
Find slot machines in a bathroom. That's just too much.
Yeah, they were everywhere. Everywhere. So, but that was funny. I'm over there playing on the cruise ship. Was awesome. Like I said, I'm over there with a bunch of old ladies playing the nickel slots and everything. But it was crazy. Good times.
Hey, I'm in the search of a 20-foot enclosed trailer. If anybody knows any around, let me know. I needed at least 8.5 foot wide and at least 7 foot tall inside.
Mm-hmm.
Utility or car?
It could be either one, utility or no, a car, because it has a flip down door.
You want the side? You want the side door or just a back door?
The back door.
You know what I mean by the side door, right?
To get into it, so you do like a regular door to get in.
Oh yeah,
they've got them like to go over the duals and stuff on like the left side, and that wings up so that once you pull up.
Oh, that's big money stuff. I don't know nothing about that.
A man of your talent, charms, and good looks, don't worry about this.
Just cut the check, make it happen.
I might have to cut my own door in the side, but
20 foot out. I know a couple people that had some stuff for sale. I'll dig through and see if any of it you know, I'll shoot it your way if it looks like it's something that would be what you're looking for. Because I know one guy had like a 40 footer and another one had like a 35 or something, but they had some big ones, some race car stuff. But like I said, I saw a couple that might do your, you know, fit what you need with a 20 foot or so.
Yeah,
What are you going to throw it behind? You going to throw it behind the bus?
Yeah.
Put the Jeep and everything in it.
Yeah, put all my leather stuff in it and then throw the Jeep in.
Yeah, take it with you. That way, when you got some time to kill.
Yep.
Get out there.
Well, man, you instead of you should have part two. Instead of raising the bus, you extending the bus.
Yeah.
We'll make it like one of those MTA buses, you know, with the
bendy buses
in it.
The bendy buses.
Yeah, bendy buses. Yeah.
I saw one.
We can make it like a fire truck and have the old lady on the back. She could be steering.
Steering it.
Steering from the back, driving. That's what you need, Lewis.
Yeah. There's some guys converting those fire trucks into RVs.
Man, it's crazy.
I saw a bus the other day, Lewis, and I thought about you because they went and they like El Camino'd the back. They went like about 7-8 feet in. Yeah. Cut it down and then put a fifth wheel in the back and made like had like a gooseneck or something where they had to plate, but it was over the axle and over the back of the frame. But you could clearly tell it was a bus that they had repurposed and cut it and
I mean for the money.
Oh yeah,
you can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you get a good price on a good running solid piece.
Yeah. Because it's sitting on a box truck frame, so you got a truck chassis and everything.
You know, it's got the 20 or 30,000 pound suspension and everything underneath it, and it's all overbuilt. Because they don't want issues, so they overbuild it.
Yep, for the kids. Yeah, we're sponsored by Outlaw Edge tonight, and Arco is in the chat room.
Yep, I see that.
So Ray, are you already lining up what episodes of Barney Miller you're going to watch?
Well, tonight's season 7, episode 15 and 16, where Barney does not divulge the source of a confidential informant locked up in jail. In episode 2, they did a lot of 2-part episodes. Harris has to run the show. I know. Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Oh man, they just sold a trailer.
I'll be playing episode 2 of my theme songs on Sunday, as a matter of fact. Oh yeah. So yeah.
See, that's my luck. Somebody else said, "Oh, I just sold a trailer yesterday."
Lewis, you're not the only one, buddy.
Trailer's one of those things you got to be careful because I mean, I've seen a lot of them that were just kind of beat, or guys getting rid of them like a car. Like, why are you getting rid of that?
Yeah.
I mean, my buddy Chris, when we went out to Indiana to pick up his 59 wagon, he bought a trailer just to do it. It's it was a dual axle too. It was like 38 feet or something. 35, big mother. And when he came back, he was putting it on the side of his house. He was going to chalk it up and make a shed out of it. That was going to be like a workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's big.
I think I can only go so big pulling it. I think Ohio, I think, is 65 feet. So I can't go over 65 feet.
That's long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is the bus, 45 or 40?
No, the bus is 38.
38? Okay, well, yeah, it's got a class 3 hitch on it or?
Yeah. Or class 5. Class 5.
Oh, it's got a class 5 on it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should be good for I think 10,000 pounds for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with the Jeep and my sewing machine and some leather, I should be good.
Because I know that Winnebago that I had, same thing, had a class 5 and it was rated for 10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it should be good.
I bet you'll find out that leather weighs a lot more than you think.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But our friend that my wife works with now, um, she hauls her leather up in 2 cargo trailers, and they're both loaded.
Wow.
For 8 weeks of the Arizona Ren Fair, I don't remember how many pounds of leather she hauled up. It was a bunch.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So when I was down at Dwayne's, we went to a rim fair in Atlanta. It was pretty nice. It was pretty big. So that's where I really kicked it in and said, you know what, I'm gonna do my leather stuff on the road. I'm gonna go to those rim fairs and do some leather stuff.
Sure. They do walk in, like you walk in at vendor type
No,
stuff?
you'd have to I'd have to pay for a
So
spot.
I'm saying, but you gotta do it ahead of time, right? You gotta.
Yeah.
You got to apply and let them accept you because
Mhm.
Arizona Arizona Fair, Arizona Fair, they won't let any more leather vendors in because they've got all they want.
Mhm.
Really?
So you have to wait till somebody leaves. That's how Leah and them got in the first place.
Right.
And
Yeah, I was talking to Ed, and he said he got some connects, so he might be able to help me out.
There we go.
always
so-
use your connections.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So as soon as I find a trailer, I get it back home and
Another
get it
project.
equipped. Huh?
Another project.
Yeah. They keep falling in front of me for some reason.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it works.
You're going to find out that being retired doesn't mean you work less.
No.
Yeah.
It means you work more.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
Well,
more.
at least you work on what you want to work on, though.
Yeah.
That's
the
the key. You're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, and then in my case, I started a project on my car a couple of months ago and then got diverted back to this housework. And now I'm finally getting back to my car project. So, yeah, I mean, you get diverted. It's like so many irons in the fire at one time. I feel like a blacksmith.
Ray, did you see those refrigerators that I Instagram forwarded those to you?
I have to look and see. I haven't been on social media too much. And when I do, I tend to buzz through because there's so much there. So I'll look again. I'll check it out and see.
You're
Oh
talking
wait,
about
no,
those,
refrigerators. That was a while ago. It was a couple of days ago.
you're
Yeah,
talking about those refrigerators that are really fancied up,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah. I did
but
see those.
the guy, they had one, and I think it was a Frigidaire model, and it had like a big chrome V on the front of it, and it was a nice looking refrigerator.
Right.
And the thing was, you want to open it on the left side, you grab the thing on that side, and it opens that way. You close it and grab the other side, and it pivots the other side. And it's like, and again, it's like a 50s model, and it's like they don't, the stuff now is not that cool.
No.
Metal shells with bearings and real rollers and stuff.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
they built those things. They weren't just plastic and injection molded and thrown together.
Sure.
I think that same guy, I think he restores them. And he showed, like, if you go through his thing, he shows like some of them are so nice inside, like the shelving move up and down sideways, and really designed, like you said. They really designed just like the cars.
Very cool.
There was a thought process to it.
Yep.
Shelves, like you said, they moved. You could, okay, you need more room, we'll move the shelf, and that not just, it's because, like I said, I remember when I saw one, and I was just dumbfounded. It's like, man, this is somebody thought about it and used every inch of it.
Well, they actually had designers, guys who were design. What was I just watching? I was just watching something on YouTube. We were talking about it. It was about, back in the day when they actually, like, we talk about musicians, and real studio musicians who knew how to play music. They had designers back then who knew their trade, and they knew, they were competing. They had to be good to keep their jobs. So, everything had a different flavor to it, a different flair. Not like today where it's all just cookie cutter, spit it out, press the 3D printer machine again, let it spit out another 100,000 of them.
That's like what we were talking about last night, Ray, about the Hot Rod magazine, the car.
Right. I know there was another tie-in with yes, and we were talking about.
Ray had sent me a couple articles, and I was reading them, and I was like, "Yeah."
When magazines were there's some stuff in here for you too, but I got to go through it now.
And it was funny because I was like, "Man, this is like." I'm just like in depth reading everything, going through the magazine and the pictures and this and that. And I said, man, I know it's been a while since I read one of these magazines. Am I missing something? So I go down and I grab one from, 2000 and something. And I open it up and it's like blah, 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 and it's like BS. And I'm like, man, they didn't. And then you open up the next article and it's like the same blah, 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 the same words, just different, ways. And I was like, man, this is garbage. No wonder.
I know. The first thing is, hey, where's the redheads at? But
you know how that goes.
I know. And to that point, we were talking about how back then, like the studio musicians, the guys who wrote were real writers. They were journalists. And in that magazine, in Cars, that was Marty Shore's magazine. It was a small East Coast publication. Those guys were trying to compete with the big West Coast, faction at the time. So all the guys in that magazine, they drove cars, they raced them, they wrenched on them. I mean, they knew every aspect, and they happened to be able to write. So it was really the best of all worlds, and you got really comprehensive articles that spoke to the readership that they were, hitting on. And that's like Brian said, it was real. It was interesting to read it. And I agreed with him. Later years, I mean, you could an article on a car magazine. It was like they must have had like a template, where they would just talk about, hey, boy, it's got a big 4-pop mixer on top and nice pair of Hassler headers, and of course we got the Edelbrock intake, and it would just they hit all those bullet points, and it's like, dude, it's the same thing with the last car. It's like, what's special? And it just didn't happen. So yeah, it's cool stuff.
The part I love, Ray, with those old magazines is looking at the adverts for the speed parts.
Well, Brian was saying that too. There was like dune buggy stuff in there, and of course the prices were, compared to today, ridiculous. But
that's the thing that kills me. Is like, there's an intake for $10, or carburetors are $15 or something. Like, it's like, good God,
yeah. But I had no money in those days. That was the problem.
Yeah, the speed parts were cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's all good stuff, all interesting, and so what I was doing is I was cherry picking the Mustang articles and some of the 289 stuff. I know Brian's into that stuff, so I sent him out a stack. I waited till I had a good amount, and I just stuck them in an envelope and mailed them out.
I watched one the other night as I think it's JMZ Online or whatever. It's a father-son machine shop out in West, or in the Midwest. And they took a customer brought them a 289 that had literally been sitting for like 35, 40 years, just untouched. Wow. And they brought them to him and they said, can you do a stock rebuild on this thing?
I saw that.
So they went through and they pulled them apart and they did the heads and all that. And I think they ended up because the customer was so specific. I think they were talking about they were going to have to sleeve a couple of the cylinders so that they could, they wanted it all like a 20 thousandths overbore on the engine.
Yeah.
And once they went through and checked it and found the block was okay, but they had some wear or something in one or two of the cylinders. And they said, that's not a problem. We can sleeve it and then just, punch it to that size. And then that way, it's all 8 holes are all the same. And they redid the heads and put the hard seats in them for, the no lead. And, because again, that was like a 65 or 66, 289.
Right.
And, again, and these guys do a lot of farm stuff. Of course, being, in the Midwest, they do a lot of tractor engines and stuff like that. And it's a machine shop. So, you never know what's coming in.
I just saw one. It was Mark Warman put it up from Graveyard Cars. He's putting some like 20-minute, 30-minute episodes up on YouTube. And it was an engine. I remember when they had this car in, I think it's a 70 CUDA, and it was a numbers matching they had the numbers matching engine, trans, and rear, but the car had sat, and the engine took on water, and literally, like he showed how normally the freeze out plugs would push out, but they didn't, and the block cracked on both sides and up in the lifter galley area. I mean, like it looked like an earthquake crack. And he said the owner really wanted to save this engine, so uh, they had a guy out there who literally fixed it. You know, they didn't go too much. They didn't have video from the guy's shop. Um,
I think I've seen that thing where he welds the cast and puts it
Yeah.
all back together.
yeah, I mean, a couple areas he made look real nice. A couple other ones you could see that they were repaired, but you know you're not going to see it in service. And he said it was really important for this guy to have the numbers matching engine. So he goes, normally we would never go that far on just a regular on an engine, but this one, you know, was different. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it just goes to show that. And I remember like back in the 70s, I had a 283. Actually, when the 389 seized up in my GTO, I threw a 283 in it that I had because I had it. And I don't remember how it happened, but the block had a crack in it. It developed a crack right in the front. And there was a guy in a shop that I knew. He worked on foreign cars. And I was telling him about it. I said, I got to find an engine. The block's like, we can fix. I'm like, no, dude, it's cast iron. Hey, what are you going to do? I can weld. I know how to weld. So he did. He had a high nickel content rod and gas. And so he says to me, you got to bring me the engine. He says, you don't have to take it all apart. Just get it out of the car. All right. So I did. I took it out of the car and brought it to him. I don't even know how, but I did. And sure as shit, he gas welded it, and he fixed it. And that was back in the 70s. So then I started hanging around the shop, and the guy saw that I had some talent and could use my hands, and he offered me a job. He says, I'd like to put you on and hire you as a mechanic. I said, man, I don't know work on these foreign cars. I don't know. I don't even have a metric tool. That was when metric was the oddball. And I remember he was a Greek, and he had a very Greek American accent. He says, no problem. Millimetrics, I have all. Use my tools. I was like, wow, guy's gonna let me use his tools. And I didn't take the job. In retrospect, I probably should have, because I would have learned from a guy who was a master in his craft. And I just stayed friends with him, and I used to hang out in the shop, but I never worked there. So
did he pin it and pin the cracking and weld up, or?
I don't know, because I just saw when it was finished. He gave it back to me, and he had painted it, orange. So I really didn't get to see the inner workings of it. I had to leave with him for a few days and pick it up later in the week. He might have drilled. You drill at the ends of the crack, and so it doesn't propagate any further, and then you weld it. But I know it was like you had to just use a high nickel rod, and I guess you have to have it really clean, because any antifreeze or oil in there is going to contaminate it. So,
and then there's ways that you should heat it up. Heat the cast iron up before you weld it. Then you have to also, as it cools, you have to have to bring the temperatures back down, and there's tricks too. That cast iron welding, it can be done, but
I know I didn't strip that engine down to a bare block. I brought him at least a long block, so it didn't come apart, and he did that. So that's even more impressive now that I think of it. All for a junkyard 283. That probably ended up burning oil anyway. That was when I was young and dumb, and I learned I was getting parts from everywhere, take off parts, and guy had a Corvette cam. Like, yeah, I'll take that cam. I put it in the car. It was a solid lifter cam. So put a solid lifter cam in the car, and I had a 4-speed, and I found out that you had the range of the cam was 3,000 to 8,000. So with an 11-inch, 3,200-pound flywheel car, you had to really ride that clutch coming out to get the momentum going to get into it was a total mismatch of everything. It was the worst combination in the world. But I learned how to make a combination after that. Wow, this was bad. I got to find out how to do this the right way.
Yeah.
Then you start reading and learning, and and you go forward.
But like you said, Ray, that was the important thing, is you learned.
Right.
It opened, because I built a Mustang like that back years ago when guys were you know, hopping up to GTs and stuff and ditching the stock exhaust manifolds and that. Well, same thing. I had a long block, so I found an intake. I built the carburetor. I took some stock, you know, X pipe off of a car that somebody was going to toss, some, you know, factory, you know, little 5-liter headers and stuff. All these parts were just, people were just tossing. I'm like, I have nothing. I'll take them.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was my day. That was my daily ride. That was my beater back and forth to work.
Sure. Yeah.
Car.
That's how we grew up. You know?
Yeah. That had the Brian probably is familiar with them, what they call the SROD in it.
What's that?
Single rail overdrive. That was the 4-speed predecessor to the T5s.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty odd for back then, huh?
The 4 had a blacked out circle because it was overdrive.
What cars did that come in?
This was an 82 GLX Mustang.
Oh, okay, all right. So that's a later. Yeah, it's later.
Yeah, 79, like 79, 79, 80, 81. My F1, my F-150 had that transmission, and that had a straight 6, 87, but that had that. It was kind of weird because the 4 was like blacked out with white letter. All the other ones were black letter, you know, 1, 2, and 3, and then you had the 4 with the white with the blacked out for overdrive.
I don't remember why, but for some reason the bell housing that came on those SROD transmissions was sought after. It was I forget, you could swap another transmission or something onto it, and that's the bell housing that you needed to bolt it all together.
I think it had both holes in it. Some of them only had one, so you only had a narrow, like I don't want to say narrow or wide case, but I know that I have a couple bell housings around here, some factory ones, and same thing. Some only have one hole, and some have 2 to fit the different trans.
Yeah,
so that would do it.
So I wanted to let everybody know that I was on Wrench Nation as a special guest yesterday.
Oh, great!
Episode 345. So go check it out on YouTube or wrenchnation.tv.
Okay.
And you can hear our interview. It's pretty good.
Lewis, you said you're not that far outside of St. Louis?
Wait, say again?
You said you're not that far out of St. Louis? In Missouri?
You know what? My internet's breaking up because it's raining where I'm at. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it to... All right, say it again.
I said you're not that far out of St. Louis in Missouri?
Yeah, yep.
You guys ever been to Branson?
No. Is it close to here?
And I would look because I've got a good friend that lives in Cuba, Missouri, and I know that's south of St. Louis, and they talk about going to Branson. Another place. Also look up. Oh God, I'll have to send you the name of the place because I got a brain fade. A place to go eat that I think you guys might be able to hit. It's they do the throw and rolls. Oh God, I can't. It's killing me. I got brain just shut off.
Mm-hmm. We're in Park Hills right now, and that's south of St. Louis.
Oh God, I can't remember. Give me a minute. I'll think of this place in a minute. What's the damn?
That's old catching in.
Yeah.
I can't remember nothing, man. As soon as I start a video, every time I start a video, I gotta ask the wife, where are we at?
I use that little notes function on my phone all the time. Hang on, let me make a note so I remember what the.
Yeah.
Crap. Hang on.
When a friend of mine first got on the internet, he used Post-it notes and put them on his computer, and it was funny to go by and see those little Post-it notes all around his monitor.
My mom does that. It's the craziest thing. She's got little Post-it notes all over. And I'm like, Mom, what's all that? Those are my notes. So,
I used to do that too before I got a
Whatever
laptop.
works.
Yeah.
yeah. I guess I'm just as bad. I mean, I have my little book with me. I write everything down. And
I got my notebook that goes in my pocket. Yeah, and I showed it to people and they laughed because and I wrote on it. It says raise short-term memory, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, because what you told me, and I want to look at later. I remember it now, but I ain't gonna remember it later." I said, "I gotta write it down in this book." And everybody
Lewis,
laughed. I said, go on, laugh, but you know I'm right.
Lewis, that place is called Lambert's Cafe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, say it again. My internet's jacked.
Lambert's Cafe.
Lambert's Cafe. I'm gonna put that down. See if I can find it.
Yeah, it's a cool place. They when you order your, they come around and they seat you, and then they, you order your food, and they have, it's what they call like not cafeteria style, home style. Well, they'll come out and go, "Hey, do you want some like fried okra? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want?" And they just, and they'll serve it. And you'll hear hot rolls, and they bake these rolls that are about the size of my hand.
yeah, they're like that big.
And they what you do is when they go hot rolls, you put your hand up, and they huck the rolls at you, and catch the rolls. Food is
doing it good for me because I can't catch shit.
Well, you lose some weight, Papa Squirrel. You lose some weight. You learn to catch.
The food's
I let my
really
wife
good.
catch it.
And like I said, when we were in Missouri that last time, we went by there, and we got there just as the place opened, and I was the only one who'd ever been there. So when the guy come out and goes hot rolls, I put my hand up. The grandson and all them, when they threw that big roll, and I brought it and I set it down on the table, and they're like, "What in the world?" And I said, "Well, I've been here before." So,
Arco, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you guys doing? Good to see all you guys.
You're looking kind of gangster there. You all right? Got a mugshot going on? You testing out something?
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're in.
I'm over here too.
Hey, Heidi.
Hey, Heidi. You just had a birthday, didn't you, girl?
I did.
Yeah,
happy 25.
Yep.
Yep. A Gemini, huh?
Right? Yeah, my 30-year-old kid was at my house, and I'm only 25. So.
Yeah.
No.
Got to watch out for those Geminis.
Yeah, I got
Tell me
two.
about it.
All of us.
Try living with her.
All of us are great.
I know. I'm a Gemini. Brianna's a Gemini. My dad was a Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
You got to watch out. You don't want to mess with us.
I got two of them, and I engineered the second one. After my first daughter was born, I realized, hey, the early, late spring, early summer party is really nice. Kids can be outside. And then, like, when her friends started having birthdays in like February or November or December, I had to be inside. Couldn't be outside, so you were either trapped in a house, you had to go to a place. So we were trying for our second one, and conveniently, like a lot of times, it just didn't work right. And I told my wife, I said, yeah. When she finally got pregnant, I said, yeah. I said, well, you could thank me. That was by design. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I calculated out, like, what months would be good to have another birthday, starting in May, and it ended up being. She goes, you did not. I'm like, yeah, I did. I said, you think you're the only one to get a headache? Just work it out, man. I said, we got two of them in June.
Almost all of my nieces and nephews have birthdays in May, June, and July.
Wow.
So we used to have, when the kids were little, we would have a May party for all the kids, we would have a June party for all the kids, and we would have a July party for all the kids.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Because there was a lot of those kids.
Yeah.
Oh, in a minute, I gotta do a little bit of work while we're out here. So I mean, because I don't stop. Yeah, I had a fun day for you guys. Picking up parts.
Oh, cool.
Picking parts up, yeah.
Yesterday, how many miles did I put on? Like
man.
400 miles yesterday.
Like the last 3 days, all it's been doing
Yeah.
is picking up parts and
And so
What
the
kind of
paint
parts?
and anything else.
well, the apparel, well, just
What's that? What kind of parts?
What kind of parts? Yeah.
Just mechanic. We have a mechanic shop. We have a body shop, and then we have the custom car shop.
Uh-huh.
So the last couple of days, my son and I have been working doing mechanic work, and you know, it's all just her O'Reilly's and other auto parts places dropping stuff off and
screwing
then
stuff up.
screwing up orders.
Poor
And
guys. It was confusing.
you order what was it? We ordered 6 spark plugs for a V6, and we got 16. And,
For none of the cars.
yeah, and then we got brake pads twice for the same van, and we got 2 transmission, you know, filter kits for the same car, just stuff like that, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's wild.
well. They got to pad their numbers end of the month. They got to make it look good.
I
know?
guess, man.
What they made it look like was that they just had to credit me back a lot of money, is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you paid the money, but they gave you a credit. It's called
No, I
keeping
know,
your
they put it-
cash flow.
They put it right back on my account. So, and actually, I went in and I got other parts that we needed, and then, you know, some other supplies. About Chase a new pair of sunglasses, so we can give yours back.
We lost Lewis.
He doesn't
Yeah,
love.
he was having some internet issues.
Yeah, he'll
The
bounce.
porn
He's
range.
got a lot of issues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're-
wow.
Internet's just one of them.
So yeah, Chase and I yesterday I put on like about 400 miles, but we did most of it in the convertible. But today it was warm enough, and he likes the top down, so we cruised around with the convertible getting parts this morning.
What kind of car is a convertible?
It's just a 2008 Chrysler Sebring,
Oh, okay.
cute little blue convertible.
Okay.
We got it as a little flip car, we were thinking, and then once we put the top down, we were done.
Yeah,
Chase-
like everything. I always buy these cars to flip them, and I'll get them home, and she's like, "I really like that car," and I'm like,
Yeah.
How are we going to say no to Chase? It doesn't matter if it's 20 below. He sits down in that car and he's like, he wants to sit the roof down. So and Chase is my son with autism. I know most of you know that, but yeah. So
Yeah,
he's
it's
got-
awesome. Yeah, I miss my convertible. I loved when I had a convertible.
And then
Yeah. That's why,
Same here.
that's why I keep my Fiat, man. You know, you drop that top, it's just smiles per mile.
yeah. And when I got home and basically I got out of the car and my 16-year-old and her friend hopped in it and took off to the beach.
I miss my convertible too. I had a Radical 54 Chevy convertible. I'll see if I can find a picture real quick.
So
Wow.
Ray, when you get that first snow of the season, you out there in the Fiat with the top down cruising.
No, it's usually in the garage, in the storage garage, and I'm out shoveling snow. But for a while, when I first put it together, the top had been vandalized. It was shot. So I ripped the canvas off, and I was driving it with no top. You know, I would just put the windows up and, you know, put a wool hat on. I'd look like Arco. I'd put a gangster hat on and, you know, hunker down and like sneak down behind a headrest. And
I think the coldest we've ever been in our Roadster is like 34 degrees.
That was freezing.
And
though.
34 degrees, what is the wind chill at, you know, when you're going 65, 70 down the road and the wind chill only comes up to our chest.
I've ridden my motorcycle below 20.
Yeah. Oof.
Yep.
That's, you know, but you got to realize though, I got a bike that's got a full fairing. It's actually designed in a wind, you know, German designed in a wind tunnel for the air to go around you. It has a windshield that puts the air above you, but it's still cold. And I use heated gear, you know, and I was actually comfortable. That's the coldest I've ever. I think it was 13 degrees.
Yeah, Michael and I a couple of years back, we took our Harleys over on this. They had like a motorcycle swap meet, so we were like, we're just gonna ride the motorcycles. And when we left here, it must have been like in the 20s, no?
It was in the 20s, yeah.
And,
it was
the wind chill,
damp 20s.
We froze our asses off all the way over there. But once we got there, we ended up buying some gauntlet gloves. That was the biggest thing, is just our hands were cold, you know.
Right.
And we jammed back home, and on the way home it was fine. That's the night we almost hit a deer.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling down Highway 6 at like 130, and a deer walks out in front of us.
Woo! Oh,
Yeah, it was bad.
yes.
that would've been ugly.
Bambi
Yeah,
tartar.
Yeah.
It would have been bad news if it would have been a moose. There was a moose hit down on Highway 6. I don't know if you heard about
Yeah,
that.
somebody told me all the blood's all over the road. So
Right at Johnson's Line.
Yep.
It's like 10 miles out of town, a moose was hit. And it was a big female.
So what are you working on, Arco? Anything special? You getting your car, the project, the beast, ever going to get done, or what?
I've actually been trying to get my dad's truck finished, and that's that lifted 4-wheel drive 49 GMC, the flatbed.
Yeah.
We call it Convict. We've been trying to finish that, but the last couple of weeks it's been trying to finish that square body Chevy, and then what else? The Camaro, and then now we're doing a Camaro convertible. It's like a '88 IROC, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
But we're doing it like it'll be pearl white with like maybe like some metallic blue or something. We haven't decided yet. But as far as the custom stuff, we've been holding off because we have so much automotive in the shop right now. So trying to do just your boring, minivans and cars and trucks and whatever.
How many guys you have working for you? Is it just you?
We have Aaron is in there a lot of times, but he's doing his own thing. And then Michael, he's in there working a lot of time, but he's doing his own thing too, motorcycles and whatever. So right now it's just my son and I, and that's it, And then Heidi's always over there pestering us, yelling at us, bossing us around.
Yeah. So are you looking to expand in that, or is it just?
We would like to, but it's really hard to find workers, nowadays.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I mean,
it's pitiful. We had one a couple years back. We had a guy show up, wanted a job. He shows up in shorts and flip flops and a beer in his hand.
No, it was two guys. You just mixed up two guys at once.
Huh?
You mixed up two guys at once. We have one with the beer can.
I just said that.
And then you had the other guy with the flip flops and the SpongeBob pants.
No. Oh, whatever. Anyways.
Anyway.
and the other guy showed up to work with SpongeBob pajamas and like Crocs or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. He showed up to work in the pants, in the pajama pants.
Yep.
You're not making that up, are you?
No.
Oh no. You should see some of my guys. I walk in a shop and they're like walking around in Crocs and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, seriously?
If I wore Crocs, I swear, if I wore Crocs, I'd kick my own ass.
Right.
You won't catch me dead in those things, man.
Actually,
I don't know.
Last shoes on the planet.
Because I'll break my toes.
I went in the house and got in comfy clothes because it's been a long couple days. Because on the flip side of me running after parts, I haven't got to be in my apparel shop, so I worked until I logged onto the show. Like that's when I got in the house.
Yeah.
So it's been a long couple days. So I got in comfy clothes. So I'm comfy.
And I'm in the apparel shop right now, if you can't tell. So.
Sweet.
They're embroidery machines. So,
Hey, Arco, you wouldn't have a 20-foot trailer laying around your place, would you?
No, sir.
Not enclosed.
Hey, did you see my question earlier? Are you going to paint that thing the same color as the bus or no? To match it up?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Are you going to put, not that it's none of my business, but are you going to put the big, your playing in traffic logo and stuff like that on it too?
Yeah, we're working on doing it on the side of the bus too. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be
Very
sweet.
cool.
That's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait.
We don't even have an outlaw edge on any of our vehicles. We suck. We've got our logo on everything.
I don't even have a sign on in front of my shop right now. I tore it off. It got so crazy.
You can't write that mileage off now, Heidi. All those miles.
Well, oh no, I can because my Cadillac is loaded. It's got a big sticker in the back window.
Okay.
There you go.
She's talking about the Minnesota Outlaw Customs, like this logo right here.
It's not the.
We got this one on all of our vehicles has that, but our YouTube channel we should have that on there too. Use that as a tax write-off,
I
Same thing.
I should have my driven stuff on there too.
You just might as well just put all
I
businesses on
thought
there.
about that because I go to nobody knows who I am when I sell candles too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little crocheted toilet paper lady shows. Do you guys ever see those little crocheted toilet paper ladies? Like
Yeah.
crocheted. Remember those?
Activity is good though. lets you slide in, do what you got to do, and slide right on out.
Yeah, they don't know who you are.
I just confuse people. That's all. You don't know who I am.
Hey, Brian, I got to get a hold of you too about that. We talked about it a while back. I just keep forgetting to do it until I look at it, and then I'm cussing you out because it's in my toolbox. But that broken air chisel that I have, you were saying there's like a adapter or something on the end of it we could change out.
Oh yeah. Because you have the spring on it, right? You want the quick release, right?
No, this one has the quick release that's messed up.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I'm thinking of that one that does the. You know what I mean?
Stupid ass.
You know what I mean?
You guys, every time she talks to me, she's like, that thing that, it's this. And I'm like, what? And the bad part is I know exactly what she's talking
What
about.
am I talking about? What's that thing called? One
I
that
don't
broke when we tried to do so you can weld the panels,
Oh, not the flanger. I already got a new flanger.
I know, but you broke one, and I thought you maybe broke another
No,
one.
I already got a new flanger.
See,
I need to start buying stuff from Brian's because
Yes,
then
you do.
you're the only Matco guy that I always see, that actually exists.
Yeah, what is the situation with Snap-on? Like, there's no Snap-on franchises up here right now.
None, not one.
So anybody with Snap-on stuff is just sitting on it.
Are they going out of business or what? No,
it's tough right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, these guys. I mean, like I said, it's tough, and these guys, we rely on other guys making our payment. I mean, and when guys start slacking back on payments, it gets tough. And if you don't, it's funny. I've been around for 24 years, and the average life is like 5. You know what I'm saying? So
the average life of a mechanic in a shop, you mean?
No, I mean,
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine you see guys flipping through shops too, no?
Oh yeah, dude. They're right now. They're all running. I tell them. They say they're all looking for that work, and I said there is none. You have to. You're doing the boss a favor when you leave, because he doesn't have to make that payroll anymore, and he ain't taking you back.
So you're seeing slow shops? I mean, because that's
they're dead.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Up here, they're not.
It's absolute chaos here. Like, the shops are nuts.
Everybody's keeping
busy as hell.
Their vehicles, and nobody wants to pay the big money to get the new vehicles.
The difference between you guys, what's your labor rate?
$100.
Yeah, it's 200 here.
Yeah. Oh, 200.
It's 200 here.
Wow,
it's crazy. Dealership's $250.
Arco.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Arco. When I left Charleston, the Mercedes dealer in Charleston is $265 an hour.
That's crazy.
And they say that with a straight face, like, yeah, what about it?
Yeah, I laugh, and I tell them, I say, you guys have to. There's got to be a medium here, and I understand we're all here to make money. And trust me, as a mechanic, the flat rate system and the labor rate, I'm all for it. But when somebody comes in and says, "Can you put a cabin air filter in my car?" and they want $75, that's crazy.
That's stupid.
What
I don't want to mess with that cabin air filter. That seems like
I had my International. I took it to a shop because there was something wrong with it in the brake feed that I couldn't figure out what it was, and I didn't have time to mess with it. So I took it to International, and it took them a couple minutes. They figured out what it was, and they said, okay, the part's going to be $250. And so they're figuring up, it's like, okay, and an hour for diagnostics. And I know, whoa, time out. I said, I don't have a problem paying diagnostics if I'm going to take the truck and leave, but you're not going to work with me whatsoever because you're going to fix it. I'm going to buy the parts, the whole 9 yards. They went, no, it's an hour of diagnostics and the part's the part. And I was like, I've never worked at a shop or dealt with a shop that wouldn't at least deal with you somewhat on diagnostics if they fixed it.
Yep.
They're like, nope, hour diagnostics, an hour and an hour to fix the part, hour and a half to replace the part and the part. And I was like, you know what? This subbitch can burn to the ground before you'll ever touch it again. And I said, put it back together. I'll pay you your diagnostics fee. I already had the part. And I did. I'm in it. I said, I'll have the charred Hulk towed to the next international dealer before it ever comes back in here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And like I said, there's got to be a happy medium, and then on top of that, they're just taking some of my places, which aren't really qualified. They just take in anything just to try to pay the bill and get themselves in trouble. Doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing or getting involved.
Brian, are you trying to say they ran out of talent when they started working on something?
Yeah, well, the YouTube can only help you so far.
Yeah.
That's why I love my mechanics where I am, because they've been working for a while and they know what they're doing. And what I love about them is I don't even have to get a written estimate, because they've never cheated me. Although they're breaking the law in California, because you're supposed to have a written estimate before you do any work.
Oh yeah.
You're in California, Pop Squirrel?
Yeah.
What part?
Oh, yeah. Northern part, about 4 hours north of San Francisco.
What town though?
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg. Yeah. I'm from.
Uncle Matt there?
Yeah. I'm from Stockton, California.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My,
Fort Bragg is beautiful, man. That's one of my favorite places.
I am so glad that my wife and I have independent income. I have retirement and disability, and she has Social Security, because there's no jobs up here.
Yeah.
Well, there is if you're a mechanic, but you got to compete with a bunch of others.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of mechanics in this shop I'd love to get rid of, because we had one fuck up our 2003 Jetta or whatever it was. It wasn't running right. She took it in, and the first thing they did was said it was not the air quality. God, I've had too many brain problems. But they worked on the car, and we had to haul it to our mechanic for them to replace it. It was the air control.
Idle air control or the throttle body?
Oh man,
The mass airflow sensor?
Mass airflow sensor. They cut the wiring.
Oh man.
And
that's cold.
And they didn't fix it. And we wound up, luckily we've got an automotive board here, and they refunded us our money. It was almost $1,000 of work that they did. And we took it to our mechanic, and he had to replace it, the connections and that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He did a good job. They've been fucking up for a while now, but nobody will put them out of business.
Yeah.
The bad part, Papa Squirrel, is most of these places anymore, they put a scan tool on it and just throw parts at it.
Oh yeah.
And then when they throw parts at it and it doesn't fix the problem, they're dumbfounded. It's like, dude, and that's where that diagnostics. Why is it,
Yeah.
Why is this killing this code?
Isn't even getting any holders, because he said he can't find anybody who can diagnose anything. They'll put a scanner on it, and if they can't find the problem with that, they can't fix it.
Yeah.
And he uses his scanner and his knowledge to fix things.
Well, like I said, I had this problem. I sell a guy a scanner, and the next week I walk in, he goes, "There's something wrong with the scanner."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, what's wrong with the scanner? He goes, well, I plugged it in his car, and it told me it was an O2 sensor. And I put an O2 sensor, and the light, and it came right back. And I'm like, Well, what was the fuel trim? I mean, was it lean? Was it rich? What was it doing? I mean, well, I don't know. It just told me it was an O2 sensor. And I said, well, that's what triggered the light. Now you have to find out why it triggered the light. I mean, why it hit that component. I mean, there's other things, you got to look into. And, like I said, they're just like, well, it's supposed to tell me what's wrong. And
it's
that's
supposed to
not.
tell you what's wrong now. You've got to figure out what caused it to
Well,
go
I mean, there's a procedure. I mean, there's a procedure. It gives you a code. It tells you where to. And most guys, unfortunately, I have the luck of the Irish, and I had to start with the first thing in the procedure. Some guys I know will jump to number 7, and of course, or they just jump right to the very end and replace the component. And if you don't go through the follow checkpoints and go through and check, you're not going to fix the car. And they say, oh, it's too much time. It's roughly, if 20 minutes, you should be able to know exactly where you're going. So it's sad. I deal with it all day long. It's really a shame. I would have never imagined in all my years that this industry and that business going where it's going. And it's sad because you still need guys to fix stuff. And they've almost made it all throwaway. They just want you to buy a new car anyway.
Yeah.
Hell, in Maryland, they're trying to tax you. They want to tax you now because if you get too good of a gas mileage and because you don't buy gas as much, now they want to tax you for it. I mean, you can't win.
It's because they're losing a road. They're losing a fuel tax.
Right.
California did that.
So then they go to a driving tax for every mile you drive. They want to tax. Or I know New York and California were talking about trying to do stuff like that. About you drive X number of miles, well, then you pay just X number of taxes.
That's like I'm waiting for them to do it here. They did it with Ray up there in the city. They have the tax when you're driving to the city.
Yeah.
And the sad part is there's millions and millions of us, and everybody just keeps letting them do it. Nobody, they just roll over and take it.
Well, the bottom line is, unfortunately, Arco, is that when you have somebody that's going to change it, and we say we want change, nobody wants to have the butthurt of it or the change. They don't want it. They don't want it to affect them. They want it to change. But unfortunately, we all have to have it affect us. It affects everybody in one way, and it will get better. But nobody wants. It's like I want to lose 25 pounds, but I'm still eating chocolate cake. It just doesn't work that way. And nobody wants to have the rough part to get better.
Feel the pain. Yep.
Yeah, they don't want to feel the pain.
Yep.
And until then, and as much as, like I said, they all say that's what we want, but nobody wants to take the steps to do it. So,
What was it?
Years
What was
ago,
What was it that Tony Montana said? What was it that Tony Montana said in the movie? So you need a bad guy?
Yeah.
You need the bad guy to hate?
California said you need to drive less, save gas. Okay, no problem. Too many Californians drove less, and the transportation director came on and said, we're going to have to increase taxes because we're not getting the projected income because people are driving less. I couldn't yell at her that you told us to drive less, you bitch, and we drove less. Now you want to punish us for not driving so much because you're not getting enough taxes.
Papa Squirrel.
Crazy.
There was a guy I've got probably about 5-6 years ago. It came up back when I was still in South Carolina. It came up in the legislature that they hadn't raised their fuel tax in like 10 years. And the guy that's in charge of all that, he goes, this committee's in the black. We have plenty of money. We don't need to raise sales tax. We don't need it. We budget. We're good. Well, damn, if they didn't raise the tax on gasoline anyways, just because that was their rationalization. Well, we hadn't raised it in like 12 years.
They were living within their budget is what they were doing.
And like I said, the guy that was in charge of the department goes, we don't need it. We're fine. We have a surplus. We don't need it. We don't need to raise the tax. And they raised it anyways.
Well, the trouble with California's gas tax, they put it in general fund. And general fund is one they yanked from to give all those, not society, feel-good programs.
The hotel vouchers, the homeless programs.
Yes. And, all this shit that has nothing to do with roads, but they won't spend the money on the roads.
Yeah, California
I just
is
found
beautiful.
out Lewis got bumped out. His Wi-Fi sucks, so he's going to be he's out for the night. So, yeah. So that's a good idea. But we'll end the live here, and Lewis will pick up again next week. So for Lewis Lee and all the guys here, we're on Playing in Traffic, and we're going to end this installment. We'll be back next Thursday. And check me out on Sunday on Motormouth Radio. So, fellas.
Yeah, we got to watch for the black SUVs.
That's right. All right. See ya.